John awoke with a start, disoriented and surrounded by darkness. The air was thick and cold, sending shivers down his spine. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he realized he was in a dimly lit room, devoid of any windows. Panic set in when he tried to move and discovered that he was tightly bound to a cold, metal chair. His heart pounded in his chest as he took in his surroundings. The room seemed abandoned, with decaying walls and a damp, musty smell that hung in the air. The only source of light emanated from a flickering bulb overhead, casting eerie shadows on the stained walls. Struggling against his restraints, John's eyes widened as he noticed something ominous in the corner of the room. An old, weathered electric chair. Cold beads of sweat formed on his forehead as he realized the severity of his predicament. He was tied to an electric chair, a device notorious for its association with death. A low, menacing voice echoed through the room, sending a chill down John's spine. "Welcome, John, to the final act of your existence." Fear gripped him as he searched for the source of the voice. The room seemed to close in around him, the oppressive silence broken only by the distant hum of electricity. He strained against his bonds, desperate to escape the impending doom that loomed over him. The voice continued, "You thought you could escape your past, John. But you can't outrun the consequences of your actions." Images of forgotten memories flashed before John's eyes, faces of people he had wronged, promises he had broken. The weight of guilt settled heavily on his shoulders, amplifying the horror of his situation. Suddenly, the flickering bulb above him steadied, revealing the room in its ghastly entirety. Surrounding John were the ghostly figures of those he had wronged, their faces distorted by anger and sorrow. Their eyes bore into his soul, accusing him of sins long buried. The electric chair hummed to life, sending a surge of terror through John's veins. The room became charged with an otherworldly energy as he felt the cold metal of the restraints dig into his skin. A haunting silence fell upon the room as John braced himself for the inevitable. The air crackled with anticipation as the electric chair buzzed to life, and a blinding light enveloped him. And then, darkness. The room fell silent once more, the electric chair now empty. The ghostly figures faded away, leaving behind a chilling stillness. The voice returned one last time, a haunting whisper in the void. "Rest now, John. Your sins have been judged, and the echoes of your choices will linger in the shadows forever." The room remained frozen in time, a macabre testament to the horrors that unfolded within its decaying walls. As the darkness settled, John's consciousness lingered in an abyss between the living and the unknown. He felt weightless, suspended in a surreal limbo where time held no meaning. Unseen whispers echoed around him, fragments of regrets and unfulfilled promises weaving a melancholic symphony. In this ethereal state, John's perception shifted, and he found himself standing in a desolate landscape. A haunting mist obscured his surroundings, and distant shadows moved like specters in the fog. The air was heavy with the residue of sorrow and the palpable presence of lost souls. Among the shadows emerged the ghostly figures from the electric chair's judgment. They approached him with an otherworldly grace, their eyes still bearing the weight of resentment. Their voices, a chorus of the forsaken, echoed through the mist, recounting tales of pain and betrayal. One figure, more distinct than the rest, stepped forward. It was Sarah, a long-forgotten friend whose trust John had callously betrayed. Her voice carried the sting of sorrow as she spoke. "You left me alone in the dark, John. You abandoned the bonds we shared, and now you must face the consequences." Unable to escape the accusing gazes, John felt an overwhelming sense of remorse. The mist closed in around him, enveloping him in a cold embrace. The voices grew louder, their lamentations echoing through the void. As he traversed this ghostly landscape, John encountered other lost souls, the echoes of his past misdeeds. Each encounter intensified the weight on his conscience, forcing him to confront the pain he had caused. The mist began to recede, revealing a colossal, ancient door that loomed ahead. Its surface was adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes of suffering and redemption. With a slow, agonizing creak, the door opened, revealing a blinding light beyond. Reluctantly, John stepped through the threshold, finding himself in a surreal realm where time and space intertwined. The whispers ceased, replaced by an eerie stillness that surrounded him like a suffocating shroud. In this realm, he encountered a cloaked figure, its face obscured by shadows. The figure extended a hand, and John hesitated before accepting the offer. With a gentle touch, the figure guided him through a surreal dreamscape, where fragments of his life played out like ethereal visions. As the journey unfolded, John witnessed moments of kindness and forgiveness intertwined with the shadows of his mistakes. The cloaked figure spoke in a voice that resonated through the cosmic expanse. "Redemption is a journey of self-discovery, John. Only by facing your past can you find peace. With each revelation, the weight on John's soul began to lift. The misty landscape transformed into a serene panorama, and the haunting whispers transformed into a harmonious melody. The cloaked figure guided him back to the colossal door. As John passed through the threshold once more, he felt a profound sense of catharsis. The misty realm faded away, leaving him standing in the darkness once again. But this time, the darkness held a different quality, a quiet acceptance and the promise of a new beginning. In the void, the echoes of his past mistakes softened into distant murmurs. The electric chair remained empty, its malevolent purpose fulfilled in the surreal journey that had unfolded. The room, once a chamber of judgment, now felt like a relic of a distant nightmare. And with a final whisper in the stillness, John found himself waking up in a world where second chances awaited, and the echoes of his past served as a reminder to tread the path of redemption. John's eyes fluttered open, his body free from the cold, metal restraints. He was no longer in the dimly lit room, nor surrounded by the haunting mist. Instead, he found himself lying in a soft bed bathed in warm, comforting light. Confusion and relief washed over him as he realized he was no longer tied to the electric chair. Had it all been a twisted dream, a manifestation of his guilty conscience? Or had he truly ventured into a realm where his sins were judged and reconciled? As John tried to make sense of his surroundings, a nurse entered the room. Her smile was gentle, and her eyes reflected a compassionate understanding. "You gave us quite a scare there," she said. "You were found unconscious in an abandoned building. Do you remember anything?" The memories of the surreal journey lingered in John's mind, like fragments of a fading dream. He hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to articulate the ethereal experience. Instead, he simply shook his head. Over the next few days, John slowly pieced his life back together. He discovered that the building he was found in was once a condemned asylum, its dark history echoing through the decaying walls. The electric chair, a relic of the past, was a chilling reminder of the building's grim legacy. Haunted by the vivid memories of the journey, John felt a profound change within himself. The weight of guilt that had burdened him for so long seemed to have lifted, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. Determined to make amends for his past mistakes, he reached out to those he had wronged, seeking forgiveness and understanding. In the process, John found unexpected allies among the very people he had hurt. Some, like Sarah, were willing to offer forgiveness, understanding that redemption was a journey, not a destination. Others, though wary, acknowledged his sincere efforts to change. As time passed, the shadows of John's past gradually receded. He dedicated himself to acts of kindness and charity, hoping to make a positive impact on the lives he had once disrupted. The nightmares that had tormented him were replaced by dreams of a future where he could build bridges instead of burning them. The room with the electric chair remained a distant memory, a surreal chapter in his life that served as a catalyst for transformation. John emerged from the experience not as a victim of his own mistakes, but as a survivor who had faced the darkest corners of his soul and emerged with a newfound understanding of the power of redemption. And so, life moved forward for John, no longer bound by the electric chair or the haunting echoes of his past. In the journey through darkness, he had discovered the light of redemption, and with each step, he forged a new path toward a brighter, more hopeful future.
Like, subscribe, and click on notifications that allow you to stay up to date with the news and not miss the video from the channel, where there will be many more horror stories.